After years of silence, George Lucas has finally broken his silence, and what he had to say will leave you speechless. The iconic creator of Star Wars stunned the world with an unexpected phone call to a director about a movie you'd never guess. But here's the shocking twist: this moment isn't just a compliment, it's a rare peek into how Lucas sees the future of the industry. With Star Wars struggling in 2024 and Disney in crisis, is Lucas quietly weighing in on Disney's battle to reclaim its former glory? Stay tuned, because what he revealed could change everything you thought you knew about the man who created a galaxy far, far away. Today we have a lot to unpack, starting with some surprising news about George Lucas. Out of nowhere, the legendary Star Wars creator decided to weigh in on a movie you wouldn't expect, and the timing couldn't be more intriguing. But before we dive into that, let's take a look at the current state of the Star Wars franchise. Recently, The Hollywood Reporter released its winners and losers of the year list, and to no one's surprise, Star Wars found itself on the losing side. With another film delayed, a new trilogy announcement, and yet another Star Wars series failing to meet expectations, it's clear that the franchise is struggling. Critics have pointed out that Disney continues to face backlash, with fans criticizing the direction of the saga. While Skeleton Crew received some praise, it's evident that Star Wars is far from the powerhouse it once was. Amid all this, Kathleen Kennedy, who's been leading Lucasfilm for years, remains a central figure in the ongoing discussion. Despite the repeated setbacks and widespread fan dissatisfaction, she still holds one of the most influential positions in Hollywood. But the question remains, how long can she stay in charge while projects continue to stumble? Before we dive deeper, let's take a quick detour. There's been some buzz around the Acolyte series, especially regarding a close-up of Ki-Adi-Mundi. Fans noticed an odd inconsistency: his hands, which were distinctively goblin-like in the prequel trilogy, now appear human. While this may seem like a small detail, it's a noticeable discrepancy for longtime Star Wars fans, but let's not dwell on this, it's just a minor inconsistency. Now, on to the unexpected part. George Lucas, who's largely stayed out of the public eye since Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, has made an intriguing comment. It's been a while since we've heard anything substantial from him regarding Star Wars, but today he made his voice heard in a way no one expected. This time, however, Lucas wasn't talking about Star Wars or any blockbuster franchise. Instead, he called director John M. Chu to express his admiration for the musical Wicked. Imagine that: George Lucas picking up the phone after seeing a film, calling the director to say how much he loved it. Not only that, but Lucas praised the visual effects, noting how difficult they must have been to achieve. Given his own groundbreaking work with visual effects and CGI in the Star Wars prequels, his praise carries significant weight. Here's the kicker: John M. Chu had never spoken to Lucas before. He didn't even know how Lucas got his phone number. Even more surreal, the call came straight from the theater while Lucas was still at his local mall, freshly out of the screening with popcorn in hand. Can you imagine getting a call from a filmmaking legend like George Lucas telling you that he loved your movie while he's still basking in the glow of the theater lights? This unexpected moment sent people buzzing, especially when comparisons between Wicked and The Wizard of Oz started circulating. Some even joked that Wicked was like the prequels to The Wizard of Oz. While opinions on the film might vary, with some critiquing its creative choices or over-reliance on CGI, the fact remains that George Lucas, with all his filmmaking experience, took the time to reach out and show appreciation for the work that went into Wicked. It's a moment that just shows George still knows quality when he sees it. What makes this moment even more amusing is how George Lucas has become something of a mythical figure. These days, he's reclusive, avoiding public appearances, but out of nowhere, he'll pop up to offer his thoughts to the lucky few in his orbit. It's almost as if he communicates through the Force, like a mystical whisper popping up when you least expect it. His random phone calls have become legendary, whether it's congratulating Tony Gilroy on Rogue One, giving feedback on Solo, or now calling John M. Chu after seeing Wicked. What's even more entertaining is the speed at which George made the call. He wasn't going to mull it over, he was fresh from the theater, still riding the high of the movie, and decided, "I'm calling now." Imagine John M. Chu's surprise sitting in the afterglow of a film release, and suddenly George Lucas is on the other end of the line. It must have felt like a prank at first. It's not every day that a filmmaking legend calls you to personally express admiration. For John M. Chu, this was a humbling experience. He shared how much he appreciated the gesture, especially from someone like George Lucas. As a filmmaker, he understands how hard it is to pull off a project, particularly one as visually ambitious as Wicked. To have someone like Lucas, a leader in creative filmmaking, reach out and offer praise must have been incredibly validating. It wasn't just a casual compliment, it was a recognition of the effort and dedication that goes into filmmaking. This moment is a reminder of how remarkable George Lucas truly is. Despite his legacy with Star Wars and the immense pressure that comes with it, he still takes the time to celebrate other creators' work. He knows firsthand how tough it is to make a movie, especially one that is visually striking and ambitious. To see him so generous with his praise is rare but beautiful, especially in an industry that often celebrates competition over collaboration. George Lucas is a true champion of creativity, and his support of Wicked is another testament to his enduring love for filmmaking. Now, moving on to Skeleton Crew. With Episode 5 approaching, there's a fascinating element from Episode 4 that's been stirring up discussions: the big question surrounding Droid's character and his possible Force abilities. It's been hinted at since Episode 2 he's not a Jedi in the traditional sense, yet he seems to have a connection to the Force, demonstrated by his ability to manipulate objects and even flip light switches casually. It's subtle, but intriguing. However, Episode 4 dropped a major clue that's fueling more debate about Droid's powers. In a tense scene near the end of the episode, something happens that you'd expect Droids to handle easily using the Force, but instead, he doesn't. In the midst of a high-stakes situation at the Tower of the Fallen Sanctum, Droids faces off against SM-33, a droid that's been programmed to forget certain memories, specifically about Atin. When Fern tries to override SM-33's memory, the droid becomes violent, following orders to eliminate anyone probing into Atin's past. The scene escalates quickly, and Neil steps in to protect his friends. Instead of using the Force to neutralize the threat, Droid reaches for his blaster, which proves ineffective in the heat of the moment. This moment is significant for Droid's character. It suggests that his connection to the Force may not be as strong or reliable as we initially thought. He could still be learning to control his powers, or perhaps he doesn't yet have the mastery necessary to act in such a high-pressure situation. This opens up an intriguing dynamic for future episodes, as fans wonder just how far Droid's abilities will go, or if he'll ever fully unlock his potential. In the final moments of Episode 4, Droid charges at the droid and simply flips the off switch. Many fans found this an odd choice. If Droid truly has Force abilities, or is even a Jedi, why didn't he use the Force to handle the situation? Why not use a simple Force push or disable the droid more effectively? This mystery deepens, especially considering Drew Lore's hints about Droid's backstory. According to Lore, Droid's connection to the Force is real, and it plays a significant role in his development. Could Droids be like Grogu, a survivor of Order 66 whose powers are dormant or underdeveloped? Maybe he's cautious, not wanting to risk using his powers recklessly in a life or death situation? But does that mean Droids is just holding back, or is there something more at play? Do you think Droid's decision not to use the Force was a deliberate choice, or is there a deeper reason behind it? Could he be a Force-sensitive survivor like Grogu, or is there something entirely different going on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Skeleton Crew, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Movie Saga for more insights. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you always.